Now, for more on this, we were earlier joined by Edward P. Joseph from Washington, D.C. He's a renowned foreign policy analyst from Johns Hopkins University.
It's a good question. It's fair to ask that. And of course, there can always be some type of orchestrated angle here. But for the moment, it doesn't really appear that that's the case. It appears more likely that this was an actual confrontation. Because why is that the case? Because both of these individuals, Prigozhin and Putin, have suffered serious costs and blows to this. And forcing Vladimir Putin to come on television now and try to pretend that everything is under control. That's not what you want in the middle of a war, is to have to project that and say, gee, there's actually nothing to see here. So it's more likely that the use of Belarus and the Lukashenko position is a way for them to attempt to save face. But what they cannot do here, this is very important, what they cannot do is take away the words and the actions that that took place there over the weekend. Prigozhin, this is one of the key things here that no one should forget. Prigozhin not only challenged the competence, which he has long done, of the military establishment, Putin's own defense minister, Defense Minister Shoigu, not only challenging that, but challenging the premise for the war. This is something that Prigozhin and Putin neither can walk that back. Prigozhin suggested that the basis for the war was not some elaborate Nazi regime in Ukraine that somehow was going to pave the way for some assault on Russia, that Russia had no choice. To the contrary, Prigozhin suggested that it was a war of choice, and a mistaken one done for reasons that had nothing to do with Russian security. And neither of them can walk that back. Please. Desperation, of course. There's no other word really to describe it, but that Vladimir Putin desperately trying to concoct an excuse to cover for this terribly embarrassing, even troubling events over the weekend, where a former close ally, Yevgeny Prigozhin, mounted what Vladimir Putin himself called a mutiny. And for him now, for Vladimir Putin to say, well, this was somehow concocted by the West, is actually another form of criticism of Prigozhin. It says, if this is the case, if that were actually the case, that Prigozhin's attempt was inspired by the West, well, then that means it's even worse than a mutiny. It means that Vladimir Putin hasn't really backed down on his criticism. But of course, we know that it was not some type of Western attempt, but this was actually an example of the open disarray and chaos within the Russian security sector that has performed so badly, and in which Prigozhin has emerged as one of the sharpest critics of the incompetence of the military establishment, even though his own forces, the Wagner group, did not distinguish themselves in Ukraine. So the essence here is that both Putin and Prigozhin emerged from this confrontation both looking weak, and Russia looking very weak and in disarray.